And welcome everyone to the Davenport Football Coaches Show for 2024. We are live at Uccello's in Caledonia, and we're here on a Wednesday night. That's right, your clocks aren't wrong, your calendar's not wrong. We're here on a Wednesday night. We have switched from Tuesday to Wednesday this year. We'll be here every week throughout the football season, here talking Davenport football, and as we get into the season, some other Davenport sports. I'm Rick Berkey, welcoming you to the show, along with the head football coach, Sparky McEwen, who will be here every year. Spark, a different day, different season, but we're ready to rock.
We are ready to go. We are ready to go. This was a quick turnaround.
Yeah, it certainly was. And, of course, Sparky in his 8th year heading the program. And your first year, was that the first year we were transitioning to Division II? Is that correct?
I think it was the first year.
Making that transition, and it's interesting, your opponent, which we'll talk a lot about a little bit later on in the show, Thomas More University, they're making that same transition. Last year was their first year in a Division II, so they're in the provisional stage, which you have to do for 3 years before you get officially approved and eligible for your conference play. But you're coming out of summer camp. We talked with you at length about our after spring ball. We'll talk a little bit about that, but let's talk about overall summer camp, how they met as far as the goals going into the camp and how you came out of it.
You know, I love the way you put that in regards to the goals. Every staff has goals going into camp, and you know what's it going to look like, and you know where you at with your team, and how's it gelled, and you know where you're strong, where you're weak. The number one thing is health, you know, and we are actually fairly healthy. You're always going to have a couple guys nipped up, you know, at this point in the season, and but we don't have anything significant at all. And you know, we have a veteran team. We have some newcomers to our team, our roster, but for the most part, we're healthy, and I'm excited about it. And we've reached a number of the goals that we've had there. Now it's on to the next step, and that's that open up.
The newcomers. It's just the state of college football right now, college athletics in general, but definitely in football. You've got, I believe, over 60 newcomers when you combine the transfers and the freshmen from high school coming on in. And that gelling takes place as much off the field as it does on the field.
It truly does. You know, with our guys, you know better than anyone, we do a lot with these student athletes. You know, I love the fact that, you know, being at Davenport in Grand Rapids, it's a great place to recruit student athletes to. The way of life is outstanding here, and that's part of the main attraction here. But then once they get here, they've got to be able to gel with the student athletes that we have here on campus, and we've done a pretty good job. We've done a pretty good job of that, of setting our culture and guys knowing the expectations and the standard. You know, you hear people talk about the standard, and we've set a pretty nice standard for ourselves, and we've climbed that hill extremely fast.
And you're going to be road warriors, as we talked about already, going into the summer and now coming out of it. It's right upon you. 7 of your 11 games away from home, and we're talking some long-distance trips. You're going to Kentucky, you're going to Missouri, you're going to the Washington, D.C. area, you're going up to the Michigan Tech, up in the far reaches of the Upper Peninsula. You'll be putting some miles on, Coach.
We'll definitely be putting on some miles, and we talked about it today as a staff and as a student body. Our guys are ready for it. That's all I can tell you. Our guys are ready for it.
You mentioned the staff. Okay, Coach is going to step away. We'll talk a little bit about what's going on here. They're picked for 3rd in the GLIAC this year. After establishing themselves with a fine record over the last 2 years. As 16-5 Davenport is over the last 2 years, and all 5 of those losses coming to the 2 national powers in Division II in the GLIAC, of course, Ferris State and Grand Valley State. So, but they're ready to rock here, and we'll see how that goes when we get to GLIAC play a little bit down the road. But Coach, we were talking a little bit about the summer and getting back and gelling like that right now. You mentioned the health, but also you mentioned your staff. Coach, I don't remember if you've returned more staff members this year, I think, than ever before. Is that correct?
Well, until we just lost our defensive line coach the day of camp. You know, each year, Rick, I say, you know, wow, it looks like we're going to have our staff, and as it gets late into the summer and, you get into July, you're like, oh, I feel good about what's going on because I still have my staff intact. I lost a really good coach in Amir Ismail, and he left us headed to CFL in the opening day of camp. And our university did a fine job. We were able to get a guy in here, and not only did I get a guy in here, wow, I got a guy with, he spent the last 10 years in the NFL. And our young men get to have the opportunity to be coached by someone that, his last thing was with the Cardinals, the Dolphins, and the Browns. And I'm so excited to be able to, this late in the game, to have an opportunity to have someone coach our student athletes as, Russell McKinney has. I mean, we're tickled to death right now because our young men get to have an opportunity to experience, someone that the last 10 years that's been coaching D linemen in the NFL.
You mentioned the pro game. That's something that comes up fairly often when you talk to your young men about the possibilities for them playing beyond their Davenport days.
Absolutely. These young guys that we recruit, number one, better than anyone, we recruit a high-caliber athlete to Davenport, and the transfers, the majority of our transfers are, Division I bounce-back kids, and high-level Division II kids. And these are kids, they come to school, they're going to get their degree, and then also they have dreams, aspirations on playing at, other professional levels. And that's happening to us, and we love it, and when you get someone of a talent like this with Rusty, man, I'm excited for the young people. We've already started working with him this week, and he's just getting comfortable with, the areas coming here from Arizona, and he rolled through the night. And the boys are grateful that he's here now.
Since we don't have any game tape to talk about, let's maybe kind of go down position group by position group, just get your overall impressions. We'll start at the back, at the top, where you've got to be the envy of most schools in the GLIAC, if not Division II in the nation, at running back, because you, Coach, have three guys who can play running back that have all GLIAC, all conference honors we're bringing in Myron Harris, Khalif Jenkins, and Kendall Williams.
We do. We've been blessed to have these three quality young people. Yes, they're tremendous athletes, but all three of those guys, if you've had the chance to honor to be able to speak with those guys, all these guys have their degrees already, and they're great leaders in our locker room. The character is what you want in that room, and it's a veteran room, and we have the ability to get those guys the football in a multitude of ways. So very excited about that. Those three guys are leaders. Kendall will play a little more slot this year, and then we'll still have that two-headed monster, with Thunder and Lightning.
To another position group on the offense. Coming out of spring, you didn't make any bones about it. You said the offensive line needs to make a step up from spring ball to summer camp. How did you assess what they came out with?
They did a great job. They stuck around all year. We had 100% participation with our veteran offensive linemen, and those guys have accepted the challenge. They've accepted the challenge. They've stepped up. On average, each of these guys have dropped right around 12 or 13 pounds, and they've gotten stronger. They've actually changed their bodies. They took on that challenge in January, and I couldn't be more proud of that group, and they kept themselves fairly healthy as well. So I'm excited to see what they have, and they know they're going to be tested by a stingy, group there in Thomas More, and they know that they're gritty and they're going to get after us, so I feel much better now, after going through a camp with those guys in the spring ball.
You mentioned the weight situation. I personally talked with three of you guys during summer or during fall practice here that told me they had gained 20 or 25 pounds and all fat. No fat addition, all muscle.
Yeah, they truly did. When I tell you, we put a challenge out there to our young people, and man, I knew that they were tough mentally. I knew they were tough physically, but to put in that time as a big person to either pick up the weight or cut the weight, and they did it the right way. That's the thing that I was so impressed with. So I'm excited for those guys, and they're just chomping at the bit to get started.
Let's go to the wide receiver position right now. Again, another area that you've got some real standouts. Of course, Preston Smith, your two-time all-conference wide receiver performer. But Meech Garrett is back. And Also excited about Peyton Carter and a few other guys. Tell us about, we know about Preston, we know about Meach. Tell us about maybe a couple of wide receivers that Panther fans haven't seen yet.
Well, obviously, you've already, talked about, Meach and Preston. Those are the two guys that, our football team understands that as they go, we go. But you have to have a support staff. Hakeem has been around for some time here in our program. It's time for him to step up and, show what he can do. We're excited about him. He's matured quite a bit in our program, and he knows what the standard is and what the expectation is. So I'm excited for him. Kendall Williams, as you mentioned, he's first team all-league at running back, but now he's going to double as a slot. Man, he's gotten so, he's tough. He's tough. He's a small guy, man, but he is so tough. Having him on the inside, we're able to do some different things, this year. Brody Thompson, a transfer from Hope, he's come along nicely. He was a guy that we highly recruited coming out of Rockford. And he had a season there with Hope, and he had a tough injury. He's recouped from that thing. He's back 100%. He's looking great. Stone Sweetie, we got him.
He's a West Michigan kid.
He's a West Michigan kid. He played there at Grand Valley, and they liked him a lot over there.
From Hudsonville.
Mm-hmm. And he's had a great camp, as well. And, we've got, Clint Walker, a tight end that, he came on strong for us last year. And Keith, he's a veteran.
He's
he's a veteran that, we're excited about as well. So we got a core, we got a group there that I really feel that, if they step up and do the things that we're asking them to do and stay within our system, stay disciplined, take care of the football, no drops, they could be a very exciting group to watch.
I want to go back to, you mentioned Kendall Williams and how you'll use him in the slot, but also, you'll get him the ball when you can, wherever you can, a guy like that. When you recruited him, or when he was thinking about coming over here from Wayne State after being an all-conference, top-notch runner in Detroit for the Warriors, was it said right away that if you come here, you're going to be playing slot mostly, or was it, let's just see how it plays out?
No, when we talked to him, you've been around me enough, I don't think that you play mind games with young people. You just tell them how it is. I just told him I think that he's dynamic, and here's a gentleman that, obviously he'll get plenty of touches. He's a guy when you take a look at him, and I'm so excited for Kendall because he's made to be a slot. He's a guy that put up major yards for Wayne State, and he was just looking for a change himself. And, he wanted to see our system. He's a smart guy, and we went to our system with him, and he's playing in the same position that Nate Couturier played, Cy Barnett played. All those guys, they were, offensive MVPs for us. All of them dynamic. So I'm happy for him. He's a young, quiet leader. So the conversation, was I scared that I could potentially run him off because he was used to carrying the ball in the back? Well, I was, but at the same time, we showed him that we needed him here. We didn't want him. We needed him here, and he's fitting, just solid in the position that we have for him.
How about this, Coach? We've gone through half the show, and a media guy hasn't asked you about the quarterback situation yet.
Yeah.
How about through half the show? How about that? We had to talk.
Coming.
You had a 2-year all-conference performer, Jason Whitaker, set records that may last, some of them will last quite a while at Davenport, and as much as he did, the fact is, he's gone. And it's time for new blood behind the center. And you brought in a couple of great ones on transfers. Dewan Mathis, a senior who's a Michigan native, went down and they actually played a year in the SEC a little bit, then went to Temple, moved to tight end, and now he's back here playing quarterback for you, along with Mike O'Horo, a young man from Ohio who played collegiately at Saginaw Valley and had success there before he transferred. So tell us about Dewan and Mike, what they both bring to the table, and right now, how it stands between the two of them.
Well, I'll tell you what they bring to the table. It starts. Both these guys have started and have a number of starts under their belt, and so that equates to experience and playing in big ball games and being under the gun, being under pressure. Man, I don't think I've had in my career of coaching such a tight battle at the quarterback position. And there's so many similarities in these two that I can only tell you this. You got to come out and watch them play, okay? Because there's so many similarities. Now, you got one that's about 6'6", and you got another one that's around 6 foot, 6'1". But both of them are tremendous athletes. They're good leaders. They take care of the football. They're explosive. They're tough. It's the kind of quarterbacks that you want to follow up after, you lose a Whitaker. So I've never played two quarterbacks in my career, but I can tell you this right now, we're going to play three. Okay, I've got two, and there's one that we haven't even talked about, and he's a young man that's showing up. Mac, he's going to be a redshirt freshman.
Mac Vandenhout from Rockford.
Yeah, he came in and he's impressed our entire football team, and that young man's going to get on the field in some capacity for us. But it's college football, man. If you don't have fun as a coach, something's wrong when you get out of the game. And I've got three, that I feel like I can call on at any point. And they're well respected, in the locker room. And you know what? If you talk to them, they're ready to go. They're ready to go and compete.
And one of the things I noticed in watching your preseason camp practices is how supportive they are. Even though they know they're battling for the same, there's only one quarterback that's going to take a snap in every play. They're battling each other for that, but they're all very supportive of each other during practices.
Some people, they could be hypocrites when it comes to this thing. They talk about team. And I hear you, Rick, talking about the battle, and the battle for one spot. Last time I checked, it is one spot, okay? The numbers all spell the same, and it comes out to a W. So who's ever behind center, at the end of the day, it's one spot, and all those kids are going to be able to go in there and show us all what they can do.
Let's go on to the defensive line position where you said, you all of a sudden had a new coach come in like that. Fortunately, you had some experience on the line that helps that transition, right?
Oh, huge. Getting some of those guys back.
Austin Allward.
Oh, that's huge.
Yeah.
Getting those two right there, back, gives you a little, comfort in saying that, we're going to be able to go in and compete against some of these bigger teams, that we're going to play with. Now, with that being said, we had some more guys that's been developed in our program, that I'm telling you right now, A2 with Steve, I can't wait for this guy.
It's Austin Allward.
Oh, man, no, that's Austin Allward that you're talking about there. We got Steve as well. He's doing a tremendous, he's doing a tremendous job, for us. And then we've got a few transfers that's come in as well. And those transfers, they know, the type of competitiveness that we have there, at DU and that D-line room. So we've actually gained some depth in that room, and we play a lot of people at that position. So I've always said you got to be able to protect yours, you got to put pressure on theirs. I feel good about the guys that we have up front.
Let's move to the linebacker position. That's another area, not as strong as you mentioned in the offensive line, but that was another area you said they need to make a step up between spring ball and summer ball. How did the linebackers do?
It's still work in progress. One of the things that you have to understand is that, Coach Walker, man, this guy's an MVP, type of, coach, and he's done a tremendous job.
I love that guy.
And
you do too.
He's doubled up as a linebackers coach and a D-line coach, and he's kind of been away from him, and then I got Coach B. He's a new coach on staff, so, he's still cutting his teeth on the college game, and he's been in the high school level for the last, I think, 15 years. So Walker and Coach Mack has had their hands full this fall with the departure of one of our coaches, and they've done a great job, to hold it down until we got help. So I'm excited for that. They know, though, that linebacking group, they're going to have to step up. So Walker going back into that room full time, I think it's going to allow that group to grow a little more and a little faster.
Coach Walker to go out there, actually try to play football. He's that enthusiastic out there. We've got to mention the defensive backfield here and the special teams. First of all, the defensive backfield, you bring in a transfer, Justin White, who played at Michigan State, and you've also got Chris Thompson and Ty Martin and Chris Jones, who are terrific ball hawks back there. You had one time I think we were leading the nation in interceptions after a few games last year, and it still finished very strong there.
Yeah, this is the group that, we return more starters than any place on our football team. We're really solid in the secondary there. We have length, we have speed, they're physical. We just got to keep them upright, and we got to keep them clean. If we can do that, it's going to allow us to allow that linebacking core to develop and get better. Anytime you're able to play man on teams and get after the backfield, that puts you in a pretty solid, situation there. So our secondary guys, they know there's a lot of expectations out there for them, and they put up some numbers. But they know that's in the past, and they know that now they got to step up as leaders on our defense until we get this thing together in our linebacking role.
All right, finally we go to the special teams situation. You've got some great talent. I mean, not good, great talent coming back. Starting off with the Sultan of Snap, your long snapper, Joe Seidel. You lost your holder, Mr. Royan, but there's a new Royan taking his place with that. And, of course, you've got the talented toe of Brandon Gilo, and who's an all-conference performer. So let's start with the place kicking. You got to feel good about that situation.
I feel really good about that situation because we returned the best kicker in the GLIAD. He's been with us for 2 years. This is going to be his third year. He was just selected as a captain for the second straight year. So it shows you the type of leadership that's in that room. So when it comes to our special teams, having a guy of that caliber, to be able to come in and send games, into overtime, to win games with the last kick, to be one of those guys that is a sounding board, for our special teams room, it helps us. It helps us sleep at night. Now with that being said, our guys know all those things are in the past. We got a new group of guys that's going to have to assist in covering kicks, because in special teams we've done well the last few years, but we really feel like in order to take that next step, we have to be better in the kicking game. We just have to be that much better.
And your punter this year, again, you lost the talented Kyle Royan, but younger brother Alec Royan, a true freshman. Right now, he's going to be a big part of your punting, isn't he?
We're excited about him. His brother, that kick force the last few years, as you know, was all GLIAD performer. And, the word on the street is that he's bigger than his brother, but I say, hey, you're going to have to prove it to us first. I said, you're going to have to prove it to us. So it was exciting knowing that we could replace, his brother with his younger brother because he has a great work ethic, great family background, and the future is bright for that young man.
All right, quickly, Coach, we're running a little bit long here, but we've got to get in a little bit about Thomas More. The Saints, as we mentioned, they're in their second year transitioning to Division II, so they're not officially D2, but they're picked for second in the Great Midwest. That's the second year in the Great Midwest. The second year in the Great Midwest. They're picked to finish 7th in the GMAC. They were 5-6 overall and a 4-5 in the GMAC. Let's talk a little bit about what you know right now, the kind of team Thomas More is going to put out there Saturday in Kentucky when you open it up.
2 years ago, there was this team in the GLIAD that was picked to take last. And you look up, and they're ranked high in the country, and they finished number 3 in the GLIAD, and it was Davenport University. I'm here to tell you right now, these coaches have absolutely no idea what they're talking about. Thomas More, I'm telling you, is going to have something to do with when the smoke clears and who that champion will be. If they're not the champions, I'll tell you what, I'm going to be shocked. This team took it to us last year. They returned 10 starters on offense, okay? We went up 24-0 on them, and then they completely shut us down the last 2 drives of the first half, and they shut us down the entire second half. And Preston Smith bailed us out, okay, on an incredible catch and run, and we were able to finish that game off, okay? They returned a number of starters over on defense. They've got an outstanding coaching staff, so we know what we're going against. They took the GMAC by storm, last year when I saw that they were picked to take 7th. And I said, you can't show me 6 better teams than Thomas More, in that conference, So, but once again, what do us coaches know, So, we're excited about the challenge. We're going to be going into some hostile territory, and it's my first time going to play a football game in Kentucky. And but our crew, we understand what the assignment is, and we're going on tour, man. We got 7 of them.
All right, finally, let's tell us the travel plans for the team, when you take off, where you're staying, etc.
We take off on Friday, and we'll go down, and we do it right on the road with our guys, and we feed them well, and we set them up in some nice accommodations, and so those guys can get to bed at night and get ready for a tough ball game. And we'll leave around noon on Friday and get down there and have a meeting. Wake up that morning, have a good hearty breakfast, and get ready to go to work.
Spot the ball.
Spot the ball.
Absolutely. Coach, great being back here again. Uccello's wonderful people. We've got our terrific waitress, Brittany, who takes fantastic care of all of our crew and everybody, but they've got a great staff. They got a gazillion screens here to watch sports.
Yeah.
Great atmosphere. Stop out here, Uccello's in Caledonia. We'll be back next week to review that game, and also you're going to start bringing a player or two for us to interview, right?
Absolutely. Every time this year we come out and we start the year off just you and I, and then we'll start getting coaches and players here to join us.
All right, that'll wrap up our initial edition of the Davenport Coaches Show from Uccello's in Caledonia. For Coach Sparky McEwen, I'm Rick Berkey saying thanks for tuning in, and go Panthers.